ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, May 15th, and X date for our weekly, and I believe it was Group A, since it doesn't, yeah, Group A. Welcome back. If you're a subscriber or if you're a return viewer, and if you're new to the channel, thanks for coming and checking things out. Take a look, big picture in the stock market today. ULTY, our fund, down 1.82%. Actually, it's more than 1.82% down from where we closed yesterday, but that's because it was dividend X date, so the 10 point, I think it was 59 cents or something in that range, comes off and doesn't count as the negative, so then we lost another 1.8% besides that. Looking over the stocks within the fund, lots of red, almost all red. I'm wondering if you guys are noticing, I changed the thumbnail each day, and the color of the individual stocks within the fund are either shaded red if they lost money or green if they gained money. I'm wondering if you guys are picking up on that, or if you just kind of clicked and moved on. So let's see. Coinbase seems to be the biggest loser for the day. Nope. Reddit down 9%. Okay. So that's big picture, almost all red, a little bit of green, no double-digit moves. So let's get right into it. So we went over to YieldMax's website, we downloaded the trades, and like most days, ULTY had a ton of them. So we brought those over into our spreadsheet. Let's start with the holdings first, the way the stocks performed themselves. Then we will talk about percentage in or out of the money and move over to the trades performed for the day. And I've been watching, seeing the feedback, right? Seems like people like the color coding, and then there was a mention of it that it was hard to see the writing on the red, so I swapped that over to white. So I'm hoping we're firing on all cylinders, making everybody happy here. So from the start, ASTS lost, I mean, pretty much unchanged, 0.04% to 26.24, a loss of $3,000, hardly worth mentioning. The largest position of calls sold is just in the money, so fortunately it went down a little bit along with time decay, so it's getting cheaper. Good thing they didn't close it out yet. Their other calls sold are well out of the money and looking to be pretty safe. Not a large amount of money anyway. That'll be what it costs to close it out if we did it at this price, but this price will be lower tomorrow when they go to close out. Alibaba down almost 8%, so that brought these back out of the money. And just if you noticed on the thumbnail, that was crossed off because we're getting out of this one. You'll see that in the trades, we're done with them. But that was a loss of $700,000, so we'll have to see. Let's take a sneak peek real quick. They sold at 123.17. Man, so they sold even at a lower price than the close price, so they lost even more than the $700,000. But that's on the day. That doesn't mean that's what they made or lost buying and selling the stock. Who knows what they bought it for? We'd have to go pretty far back. Webull was down 9%. I don't remember seeing that at the beginning. Yep, it was. I missed it. Okay, down 9% to 12.29. A loss in value of $490,000, but they didn't sell, so they didn't actually lose that. Their calls that are sold are way out of the money at this point. If they didn't close it, they should. Kavo Group down about 0.5% to 99.06, loss of $43,000 in value, and their calls are out of the money by 2.8%. Coinbase down 7%. That helped a ton because these were in the money, in the red, in trouble, and then they by 4%. Now they're in our favor by 3%, so that'll make them much cheaper to close out. CoreWeave, that's our new stock that we started yesterday. If you listened to yesterday's video, I called it CoreWave accidentally. I guess I can't read because I was looking right at it. But down 2.5% to 65.77. These calls are actually, they don't have it listed here. These are out till next week, so we won't be closing these tomorrow. But they're 12% out of the money, looking great, off to a good start. Carvana down 2.66% to 297.40, loss in value of 200,000. Again, that helped. That brought these out of the money where they were in the money before today. So between the time decay, and the change in the stock price, that helped a lot. These are just our treasuries, right? They're nothing to talk about. First Solar down 3.5%. This one needed to cool off. It's been on fire lately, so that brought these a little bit safer. We're still in the yellow. We call 0 to 5% out of the money. The yellow, it's kind of like the danger zone, but it doesn't hurt yet. And the red's the pain. That's when we're paying extra to close it. And green is nice and safe. If you are kind of new here, I mention this every time, so I try to say it quickly so the people who do watch aren't getting bored with it. These are all, everything off of here is based off of how the market started this morning, right? So these are none of these prices on the options are correct. You don't actually get them until the next day. So I don't have a way of updating them, but I like to keep the close of yesterday or the start of today prices here, so that when I put in today's closing prices, you get to see the percentage change and the value change. If I had updated these, then nothing would show for us to talk about here. Okay, so Hims and Hers down 4.16% to 58.58, change in value of almost 700,000. They're still in the money on the $57 calls, so that hurts. Right, in the money sounds good if you don't know what we're talking about with options, but they sold calls. So they sold something technically that you don't have. That's why they have negative 2,000 shares, and you have to buy back 2,000 shares in order to make this right, unless you were going to let it expire, and then you either would be giving up 2,000, well, not 2,000 shares, 2,000 contracts, so that's times 100, or if it ended up expiring out of the money, then you just got to keep all the money you collected and you didn't have to do anything for it. So that's real fast option selling. So they sell call. They actually buy the stock in this fund, and then they sell absolutely as many calls as they can on it. Right. So 275,000 means you can do 2,750 contracts. So here's 2,000, here's 750. They do that on every single stock, trade with as much as they can on it. So this smaller portion is well out of the money at 15%. Robinhood down 1.16% to $60.68, a loss of value of $154,000, bringing these a little bit further away from the money, which is good. IONQ, loss of 2.6% to $32.54, loss of $282,000 in value, bringing these into the green as far as distance from the money, helping us feel a little bit safer with one trading day left before these get closed out and rolled to next week. Mara Holdings down 1.2% to $15.68. Now, quick mention too, we got beat up real bad early in the week, so some of these we have already taken the loss on the week and moved the calls out again. So we're kind of winning on the second round of trades for the week. We got beat up pretty bad on the first round of trades. So Mara Holdings, 10% out of the money, loss of $118,000 in value. MicroStrategy, MSTR, lost 4.73%. That moved their calls to 7.6 and 8.7% out of the money. $397.03 is the stock price, and about $750,000 lost value. NVIDIA down a fraction, 0.38% to $134.83. That means these options are still in the money at this point. So you can see when the day started, they were $4.20 to close them out. So it'll be lower because it did go down a little bit, and it did lose another day for time decay. But change in value of loss of 52%. Oklo up 1.08% to 37.41. Increase in value of 120,000. These are in the money. They're going to be painful to close. Palantir loss of 1.58% to 128.12. Change in value of 271,000 to the bad. And they've got a slightly different way they play. No, they don't. I was thinking of a different one. There's a different one that does a put spread. But these guys just still do the regular thing. They've got calls sold at 125 and 134 and 135. And then each of these are the puts purchased. They're basically insurance policies in case the stock drops. They get to make all the money. Perfect scenario, right? They get to make all the money on the calls that they sold without having to give anything up or buy them for much back. And if the stock drops, they don't take as bad of a loss on the value of their stocks because the value of their puts that they bought go up in value. So pretty neat cycle they got there. I think I said it lost 271,000 in value. One call's in the money, another one's in our favor, out of the money, and the third one much smaller, 100 contracts, 5% out of the money. Reddit lost almost 10%. That helped because we were getting close. I think we've already changed these once this week. 113.59 is the closing stock price, loss of over $1.1 million. And these options are looking to expire worthless tomorrow. So we should be able to roll them cheaply to the next week. Unless we already did it this week, we might have. We won a decent amount of trades this week, today. Rigetti, I finally looked it up. If you've been watching these videos, every time I get here, I say Rigetti. I'm not sure what it is. So I watched a video with the CEO talking. He said Rigetti. The way I'm going to remember it is just like spaghetti. Rigetti. All right, lost 0.86% to 11.54. Change in value of loss of $35,000, and their call is sitting 0.35% in the money. RH up almost 1% to 218.09. Calls are still out of the money even with the increase by 7%. I don't know if I said in the money, out of the money, in our favor. $43,000 increase in value. SMCI lost 2.3% to $43.96. These options are now over 10% out of the money, looking good. Loss of $140,000 in value. Snowflake up 0.84% to $182.97, and that tipped them over the strike price of $182.50. So they are just barely in the money. But these should really come down in value tomorrow, because $10 for one day, right at the money, that'll decay very quickly throughout the day tomorrow. But that went up $68,000 in value. TNA, the triple leveraged small cap bull fund, went up 1.86% to $30.70. These calls are in the money. 2.3% increase in value of $204,000. TQQQ, the Pro Shares Ultra Pro QQQ, up 0.3% to $70.58. The calls are still just barely out of the money, and the fund increased in value by $53,000 due to those shares. Tesla lost 1.4% to $342.82. Loss in value of $223,000 on the stocks. And again, overall, these are just going up and down. If you don't sell them, then you didn't actually take the loss. They are almost 5% out of the money on their calls. They're 360 calls. Upstart lost 7.66%, bringing them to 7.08% out of the money. That means we were in the money when the day started, and things took a turn for our favor. So that 147 price to close them is going to drop drastically. Price is $47.39 now, and a change in value of loss of $868,000. Vertiv Holdings Corp lost 3.74% to $105.38. 4% out of the money on the calls, $295,000 loss in value. And finally, Vistra Corp lost 1.72% to 152.06. They're 4.9, call it 5% out of the money on those calls, expiring tomorrow. Lost $186,000 in value for a grand total of $7.5 million loss of value. Okay. I was also requested to put up the 30-day IV on the fund. So that is $25.49. I was also asked to do it for every stock, so that's something you have to individually look up, and I don't want to individually look up 27, well, I'll call it 28 because of ULTY, different IVs every single day, along with inputting all this information. It just gets to be a little bit too much. So this NAV's not updated because the net assets are based off of everything, and we don't get the values of all the rest of these until the next morning. So obviously our NAV went down by about 1.82% if the stock went by that. But this is the current price that it closed at. So it always stays right within a penny or two. All right, moving on to trades. So just so you know, I didn't delete anything. I've just hidden stuff so I don't have to scroll. As you can see, I go from sell 8 to sell 273 because I don't want to scroll back and forth so much. Same thing with now that we've already talked about the full last week values, trades made, everything, estimate, and actual payment. We're now looking at the following week. So today's the 4th trading day. Spoiler alert right there. They made money on their trades, and there's the $7.5 million we lost in value. All right. So we said we closed out of Baba or Alibaba. So they sold their shares, 70,000 of them at 123.17, collecting 8.6 million. And these are not factored into our trades, right? Our option income strategy. I'm tracking our option income. If we get out of a fund and get into a stock and get into a stock, I'm not calling that option income. All right, and instead we replaced it with 340,000 shares of AI. Not a company I'm familiar with, so I had to look it up. But and it's like C3 dot something. I don't know much about it. Brand new for us. So since they bought a new stock, they then turned around right with it and sold as many calls as they possibly could and bought the puts to go with them. Call it the insurance policy. So on those trades opening this, they picked up $227,000 in trading wins. ASTS, they closed out their Friday 2850 call. We'll just talk about the calls unless they made a decent amount of money on the puts. So they closed out the 2850s and opened up 28s. So the stock dropped a little bit, and they're lowering it to make sure they get some. So that's a win, right? Closing out for 9 cents. Sold the next week's for 68 cents per contract. $54,000 in profit there. Like we said, we're done with Alibaba, so we had to close out the contracts to sell the shares. Bought them for 18 cents, so that's a win. We wouldn't have sold them for 18 cents, and got $700 for the puts. Overall loss of $11,900 on the trading day, but we know they sold them for more than $12,000. So it was a winning trade, but today, as far as today, it's a loss in money in general. Webull closed out their May 16th $17 and opened May 23rd $14.50, netting $176,000 in profit. Kava, they closed out their May 16th 102, and we're still going after May 16th 108. So we got one trading day left, and we're still trying to scrape and claw and make money, and they did, right? So that's crazy. So bought them back for $1.68 a contract and sold 108s for $3.91. Closed out the puts and opened new ones for $369,000 value added. This was the one that was different, right? So they started what'd they do? They sold, but they didn't sell short. So they sold $55 puts for next week, and they bought $50 puts. Sold the 55s, bought the 50s. Let's look real quick. HIMS. Was it 750? It was. Okay, so all they did was change their insurance policy. Instead of keeping this at 69 to 55, they switched it 69 to 50. So they bought a lower put. Okay, made $120,000 on the trade. Reddit, lots of moves. I think some of them match up. No, maybe not. Okay, so they closed out their 130s and their 135s for this Friday, and the insurance policies to go with them. They sold 121s and again 121s, right? So they've combined these. They had two different strike prices, or they legged in, right? And this time they have selected everything, put it all in one boat, right? 121's our new number. They made $644,000 on that group of trades. And RH, we moved these out to next week. So we closed this week's 235. We opened up next week's 230, and we brought in a profit of $77,000. So you already saw it. That means trading wise, we made $1.6 million. So we got one more trading day left. After tomorrow, we'll know how we did for the week. We'll start looking at what we think we've got coming in dividend the following week. This video went a little longer than I had hoped for, so I'll try to wrap it up quickly. Give you the dad joke of the day. First, I just want to thank everybody again. I appreciate the likes, the comments, the feedback. I wanted to ask a question, but as soon as I click the record button, my brain goes blank, so I'll have to save it for next time. Okay. Dad joke of the day. What do scholars eat when they're hungry? Academia nuts. Okay. Good night, everybody. Hope you have a great day tomorrow. Tomorrow's regular payday for most people. It's ULTY payday if you're holding the fund. If you got any of the other things, Group A, it's payday for you tomorrow too. So have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.